Somebody came and looked at this lawnmower yesterday. I was kind of surprised, you know, being December. I didn't think anybody looked for it, you know, look for a lawnmower. I mean, I've even brought it down here, took it off the road, so it doesn't look like something appetizing to a criminal. And that way I also don't have to look at it. You know, just thought I'd put it away until wintertime. But they came out and looked at it. Of course, you know, it's this one's in pretty rough shape. I'm not asking a lot of money for this one. So they said they would buy it, except they were buying it for their 87-year-old father, and didn't know if he could, you know, start it. It's got this push button start. I don't think it's that hard to start, but anyway. That's another reason I brought it down here. I didn't want everybody stopping and looking at it, just be looking at it. But it got me to thinking a little bit about a comment I received the other day. It said I was late to the party with my lawnmower repair hobby business. That the industry's ending, and I should just give it up right now. Well, I don't know if the industry's ending or not. I mean, it might be winding down. I don't know if I'm just late to the party or if the party's over. I don't think the party's over. And I think that's what this guy was indicating, is I need to quit because the party's over. What they're suggesting is that battery operated lawnmowers is going to take over the industry. And they named off two. One they were correct on, the other one they're not. They're just not correct. So they said that Honda is no longer making gas-powered lawnmowers, which is true. That's what you can find on Google. I don't know if they're discontinuing gas-powered motors, though. I don't think they are. I think they're still making the motors. And there's a lot of things that Honda motors go on to. They go on pressure washers, and I just worked on a air compressor, had a Honda motor on it. Yeah, and I actually made a video of that, but the camera didn't record correctly, so I had to, I didn't get to post the video. So Honda motors are still being used, so I don't know. I don't think Honda is just giving up on the motor industry, you know, the technology. I think they're just getting rid of the push mower, gas-powered push mower. And then he said MTD is cutting down production, which I did Google that, and that's not true. MTD makes predictions every year on how many mowers they need to build for the next coming year. And last year, they reduced production a little bit because they didn't have a lot in sales coming up. But that doesn't mean there's, you know, every year is going to be that way. It fluctuates every year. So it's just Honda. And we always know that the Japanese market is always quicker to jump on technology than the American industry. The other thing is I don't see it taking off as fast as what everybody says it is. Yeah, I would imagine the folks in the cul-de-sacs and the HOAs and the suburbs, they'll buy battery-operated lawnmowers. You know, they got a little bit of more disposable income. The batteries last, I just looked it up, they last about 5 years. And if you live on a hilly terrain, it said, the batteries will last about 2 years. So the more strenuous the conditions, the worse it is. So, you know, these companies and these experts and all these, you know, people, they don't look at the entire population. They look at a subsection of the population and say, okay, that's what everybody's going to do. I couldn't have a battery operated mower here. First of all, I don't cut my grass that often. I do it about every 2 weeks, and those battery operated lawnmowers, it says you'll wear them out faster if you do that. So you got to mow like every 10 seconds. Now, I'm not saying the technology hasn't come a long ways, but I have used batteries for a long time, different power tools and things, and batteries just don't last long. And so when I went to Walmart looking for a weed eater a couple years ago, that's all they had was battery operated. And I wouldn't buy it. I mean, I just like, I don't want that. What do I want that for? I want gas powered. I would have rather had $100. I mean, a few years ago, I don't know how long ago, you could buy a gas powered weed eater, the actual brand name weed eater, for $100, and it's gas powered, but they didn't sell them anymore. So what I did was I went out and looked for a used still chainsaw, not chainsaw, weed eater, and fixed it, and I'm using that one. I want gas. So, you know, I have a more difficult yard to cut. It's rural. And I don't think the battery operated can handle rural areas. So I don't think it's the end of the party. I might be showing up late to the party, but it's going to take another 10, 15, 20 years for the industry to completely give up gas-powered mowers. And another thing that you have to consider is, even if they stop producing gas-powered mowers today, people aren't just immediately going to go out and buy a new electric mower or battery-operated mower. The beast here is a 2020. I'm sorry, this beast is a 2000 model. It was made in the year 2000. So it's 24 years old. And it still runs great. I mean, it needed a little bit of maintenance, but it still runs great. Now, the maintenance needed on it. So the transmission, let's talk about the transmission. The transmission needed work. That was pretty costly. But that had nothing to do with the battery-operated portion of the mower. If we were talking battery-operated, that was the transmission. Completely different setup. That's the hydraulics of the motor, or the transmission. So the only thing the engine needed was a $24 one piece, two pieces, one set. It's a set, 2 ignition coils, one for each side, but you buy them as a set. It was $24. So after 24 years, this engine that I can tell has only been worked on since I started working on it, needed $24 worth of repairs. Well, of course, you got to buy a battery every few years, but that's, you know, 20 bucks, 30 bucks, whatever that is at Walmart. It needed a belt, but again, that's not the engine. So you subtract the money I spent on it to buy it, I'm up to maybe $130 on this mower, and that's not all engine cost. Like I said, it was $24 for engine cost. So people aren't just going to give up their mowers. They're going to have them worked on and get them fixed up a little bit. So this isn't the end of the party. I don't even think it's late to the party. I'm just kind of coming into the party. So I just looked up push mowers, battery operated push mowers. And I really can't get a grasp on how much they cost, but it looks like they're going to generally come in more expensive than a gas-powered lawnmower. I'm sure somebody's going to pull one up on Google. I found one for 50 bucks here, right here. Why didn't you look at that one? Okay, but not everybody's buying that one for 50 bucks. They're going to want a name brand. And so I think, generally speaking, they're a bit more expensive by a couple $100. And you can get a push mower, a gas-powered push mower, still, you know, it's cheaper. So if you're looking at a budget, like people around here who are poor, not the suburbs, people who are poor, they're going to go for the push mower. As a matter of fact, they'll probably go for used, Facebook Marketplace, that kind of stuff. So everybody who's selling their gasoline push mowers to buy the battery-operated push mowers, they're going to sell them to people out here, and I'm going to still have 10, 15 years worth of work left. Because I'm going to have to fix up all these mowers people are buying off Facebook Marketplace. So then I looked up at a zero turn. And they say it's equivalent to a 22 horsepower zero turn engine. I think it was a 52-inch mowing deck. It's Ryobi. And it did look pretty impressive. It was at Home Depot. It was pretty impressive. And it will mow for, I believe, an hour. An acre. It said an acre. It will mow an acre. So when you start looking around at this is, you know, this is an acre and a half. That's not much mowing time. If you mowed straight through, it may be an hour. You probably could mow it in an hour. So let's just call it an hour to 2 hours worth of mowing time. And then it takes an hour and a half to recharge the battery. Now, it did sound impressive. So again, if you live in the suburbs where you don't want the roar of the mower every spring, that might be something that would be pretty cool to have. But out here, I don't think anybody's going to do it. Again, it talked about conditions. You know, you don't want steep hills and tall grass. So where does that leave the commercial industry? You know, the folks that go out all day long, 7 days a week, 6 days a week, in some cases 7 days a week, and mows for 8 hours, 10 hours a day from sun up. You know, as soon as the dew is off the grass, in a lot of cases, they don't even wait for that. I used to. And until it's starting to get dark and having to turn the headlights on. These guys are making serious cash. And I worked on one mower, and he bought it at the beginning of the season. So in the spring, brought it over to me, but July it had a damaged deck. And it already had 1,200 hours on it. That is a lot of hours for a brand new mower. So he's not going to have time to, you know, charge it. And the reason he broke the deck was he was mowing tall grass. And he hit a rock. So on that Ryobi, you can't cut tall grass. The woman that hired him, only wants him to cut it once a month or whatever it is. I don't know. The price is still fairly expensive. It's equivalent to a regular zero turn, a 50-inch zero turn. So you're not saving money to buy a battery operated zero turn. So I don't think the commercial industry is going to be really ready to give up their gas powered lawnmowers. Then you have to talk about the man factor. You know, like I said, the battery operated weed eater, I just didn't think I was going to be able to use. But the man factor, and I know that we're not supposed to have the man factor anymore. You know, we're all supposed to be the little wimps now. And just do what the government tells us to do and what society tells us to do. But there are still people out here that like the roar of the mower. The Beast. I bought the Beast, fixed it up a little bit, and every time I put that thing in a video, it's a well-watched video. People watch it all the way through. They like the Beast. People always comment on the Beast. They just love the Beast. So I don't get a lot of females saying, hey, I like that Beast, but I do get a lot of guys saying the Beast is great. So there's still the man factor. Men want a mower that they can put the deck down all the way and grade their patch of dirt to level it out. They want to be able to put a snow blade on it. I was just looking at a snow blade. There's one on Facebook Marketplace for 50 bucks. And I'm really trying to talk myself out of buying it. I don't need it. Probably would never use it. So it's just it would be a waste of money. But men like, at least the men I understand, like having toys that have some power behind it. Otherwise the Mustang and the Camaro and all those wouldn't still be around. We'd all be running around in little Toyotas. You know, men buy trucks. You know, the American automotive companies don't even make cars anymore. They make SUVs and trucks. Why? The man factor. So I don't think it's over. But if it is, it is. We'll do something else. So if you click this up next box to take you to a video, well, I was working on something. So if I can inspire you to not give up on your dreams because somebody told you to. Thanks for watching.